do it? Hi, I'm Brigitte Parvin, and we're going Facebook Live due to encouragement from our friends. And we want to thank you for this opportunity. And one of my mentors asked that we start speaking about tips on sobriety during the holiday season. So my teacher, my friend, my mentor, I thank you for that very valuable encouragement. And so here we are. We're right in the middle of the holidays. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, everything. Merry Christmas, and just whatever you're celebrating, know that you're loved.
Happy Holy Days.
Happy Holy Days. I honor all paths, and you do also, right, Doug?
Yes, and then some.
And then some. So this is the first time that Doug and I personally have done a Facebook Live. I had done one on July 4th for that time, and so it's really important during the holiday seasons. I know for me, when I was first getting sober, and it was a really hard time of year for me. I was used to carrying on with old business, which meant kind of like almost get me off this planet, you know, and I was just thrashed and tearing myself up, and I just didn't feel like existing anymore. And then there was the part where I became so lonely and out of desperation and that pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, you know, once again, my bottom was pretty excruciating for me. It was, and just in my soul, I just couldn't die anymore. But I remember that pivotal point of when I got sober and was looking around going, what do you do now? Where do you go from here? Everything was different. You know, I was like, I love my family, I love my friends, and that role that I did, it was a slippery spot for me. And so that has greatly changed. I love my family, I love my friends. I'm able to, with tools and stuff like that, go back into those situations.
Yes.
But that first year of sobriety for me, I remember it was more about me. It was more about me.
Absolutely.
It's
always us, it's never them.
Not medicating myself and tuning out instead of tuning in, and just getting that numbness, that comfortably numb until it wasn't comfortable anymore. If my peeps out there, you know exactly what I'm saying when I say that.
Yeah.
And so I remember waking up really early, and I didn't know what to do. I had nowhere to go, and I drove to the parking lot at our local shopping center and just put my head on the steering wheel, and I was just like, okay, I'm sober, and I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I'm not drinking. I'm not using drugs right now. It was just raw. I was like, but I was kind of like explosive inside.
Yeah.
Scared.
Fearful.
Not comfortable underneath my own skin, but I knew I had to do what I was doing. And all of a sudden it was like, Brigitte, you're not alone. And it was like, what? I sure felt alone. And it's like, don't stay isolated in the house. And it's like, okay, and that's exactly why I went over to this place, and it was Laboo. And yes, at that time I was getting my coffee, you know, getting that on, and I was like, wow, the whole world felt different and everything. And I get out of my car, and there was this human angel out there and said, happy holidays. And I knew this person, and they gave me a great big hug, because that's what they kind of do around the rooms where I hang out at. And I'm from the local coffee club, and I was just like, wow, so God was showing up. So I encourage you, and I encourage you, if you're feeling in that space, remember, yes, it's holiday season, but let's break it down here a little bit. 24 hours in one day.
Yep. Yeah.
24 hours in one day at a time.
One day at a time. Well, that's, for me, it was, my sobriety date is January 2nd and of 1995. And there again, it was after the holidays, and that wasn't my choosing. It was, I had made a surrender to my Creator, my God, that I couldn't do this anymore. I had an intervention with, actually it was the Placer County Sheriff's Office intervened for me, and it wasn't any great.
Naughty boy.
It wasn't any great resolution of mine. It was just, I had given up. You know, the holidays, it's the loneliness that that people in recovery and addicts and alcoholics, and, you know, that we feel, and others, you know, people who are just going through things, the loneliness. And Brigitte mentioned about the loneliness, and you know, my solution for loneliness was to isolate, which isn't, it's really not a good way to, you know, handle your loneliness, is to go be by yourself. So, like she says, going, you know, being amongst a group of people who understand that, you know, that's what, and will support you. And it's like, you know, it's like as an alcoholic, you know, one of the things was, you know, one of my mottos, you know, you just don't understand. And it was being around a group of people and groups of people who understand. You know, you're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. There's great alkathons, a lot of fellowships, 12-step groups have different, like alkathons, they go out through, you know, going through the holidays. It's a great place to be.
It is.
And it is that, like you mentioned, that fear. It's like, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified because, you know, I hear, you know, alcohol was a way to cope with things that I could, you know, I lived during virtue, you know, it was a delay tactic. And she talks about that, you know, it's like the bigger the fear, the greater the purpose. And as light workers, you know, it's really important for us to, you know, to be clear thinking and to show up for our assignments and to do this, you know.
Right, right. Well, I also, for me, it's that whole picture that's painted, you know, of that Hallmark stuff, you know, and it's with all of the chaos that can happen with drama. One of the things that was so hard for me was, you know, it was always, I would want to be in a relationship, and then I would feel like, you know, when I didn't get a engagement ring or, you know, something like that would really, I mean, the guys that I was trying to capture with my shenanigans, they really weren't, you know, I was seeking the bad boys, and luckily I didn't know Doug back then when he said what he was doing, but anyway, that was, you know, that was happening. So if I wouldn't get that engagement ring or you know, that long-term relationship that I was looking for, that proposal, you know, I couldn't have even handled it. I was such a drama queen at that point in time. Far from that now. I've been happily married for like going on 18 years now with this beautiful man, Doug, and we met in recovery in the 12-step rooms.
Yes.
And we weren't even looking for each other. We were going about our business, doing our own deal of getting sober and clean. And I was building my relationship with God, certainly not a guy for the first time.
As well. It was just creating that relationship. You know, in recovery, in the rooms, sometimes you'll hear, you know, don't get in the relationship in the first year. And it was like, well, you are, because you're getting, for me, I was getting in that relationship with my higher power, my Creator, my God. And
yes.
Great events came to pass.
Yes. So one of the things, you know, we created this, and remember also all of the, speaking back once again, Hallmark is wonderful, you know, it's beautiful. And I love, the store's awesome. With our society, that perfection, that painting that picture of perfection, you know, remember with the holidays, it's progress, not perfection. I remember going to Unity Church, and our minister there had this big, humongous dry erase board, and it was right before Thanksgiving, and Ron Pomba, who's amazing, he gets his dry erase pencil, and he's all right, the holidays and the festivities are about to be, you know, coming into our realm here. What are the things you like to do? What are the obligations? You know, what are the expectations? Within 5 minutes, this whole dry erase board was filled. And you looked at it and go, I have like 5 weeks to do this. and you get someone who's a perfectionist and who, you know, attacks that list. I mean, it's sometimes I would go and do that, and then after Christmas, I would be depleted for 3 weeks. I'd get the flu bug, be laying in bed, and I was like, oh my goodness. So little by little, you know, it's that the expectations first and foremost of doing that and being a people pleaser, codependent. My bottom was from codependency first. I got into the 12-step program for my codependency prior to my drinking, and one of it was from people pleasing. And so in that, I started going and seeing where I had those expectations on myself versus what other people were placing on me. So we've created this page, How to Get Your Life Back, and we'll be on it, visiting it on Christmas Eve, on Christmas Day. Doreen Virtue also has a live video going on Christmas Day on Doreen Virtue 444, 12
p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
So that, you know, you're not alone. Email me, private message me. I've got my phone with me. We're all in this together. You know, this is our tribe, and we're walking shoulder to shoulder on this journey. I'd also kind of like to open this up to some card readings or questions. Trying to see if there's any questions out there. If this could roll around and see, I've got my Angel Therapy card deck here, and I will just pull a card. In fact, we're kind of getting the hang of this, so this will go up and be up, and I'll come back and visit this page also and this live feed. Do you have anything else to say?
Absolutely. It's you know, this is a great time of the year. It's you know, it's beautiful. We just actually yesterday was the winter solstice, and it's like now we're moving into the light. You know, moving forward into the light, and the days are going to start to gradually get longer. And it's a great time. The beginning of the year is coming. You know, kind of inventorying and looking at your life here this past year. What was great about it? What areas could use a little assistance or, you know, a little work? And see what you like, you know, and what needs to be reevaluated. You know, it's in the program. It talks about the fourth step inventory. You know, inventorying your life, and to be honest, some of those bottoms are a great time to do inventory. It's like this, you know. Sometimes that prayer is, you know, this isn't working anymore. I need help. Is a prayer. You know, God help me. That's a prayer. You know, and this time of the season is you know, that's what I was going through. Like I said, my sobriety date was January 2nd, and I absolutely was at my lowest. You know, and I didn't want to do it anymore, and you know, it was you know, God stepped in and intervened for me, and I was separated from alcohol long enough to where I could start to, you know, get a little clarity, you know. And I was, like I said, this is a whole, you know, I've been drinking all those years, and it was scary because, you know, the way I dealt with things was through alcohol, and you remove that, the way I deal with things, you know, from that, and here again, by doing that, it never changed. You know, there's a saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes, and I wasn't changing, and so by getting into the program and learning the tools in the program, and through other people, through, you know, the churches, through, you know, whatever you know it takes, you know, groups like this, on you know, different groups, different communities of people who want to be in recovery, you know, doing it together. You know, it's if you would ask me then, it's like, is it a good thing or bad thing? And I would have thought that, you know, I mean, the sheriff's office was involved, it's a bad thing. You know, turns out it was absolutely one of the best things, one of the best things that's happened in my life, you know. Later on, after being in recovery, both of us have dealt with, you know, in 2003, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. Good thing, bad thing. You know, I was a foreman for a construction company, and you know, doing all of that, and I was flat on my back for 3 years. Good thing, bad thing. Well, I'm sitting here with you today and I'm ringing crystal bowls. I would have never given up my construction job and said, hey, I'm going to quit, banging nails and doing stuff and go ring a crystal bowl. That was not, that was not in the plan, in my plan. But, all of those things, it's always in hindsight. All of those things led me to sitting here with my beautiful wife, today. Having a daughter, having our granddaughter, it's like, I would have sold myself short. When I got sober, all I wanted to do is just quit drinking. And that hasn't been my experience. I've been given a life beyond my wildest dreams, way beyond. Mm-hmm. And so, if you're thinking about it, or just want a little more clarity, that's what that sobriety, sober, having that sound mind, having that clear thought. Again, like I said, we need you. We need you sober. We need the clear mind. We need the clear thinking. And in groups like this, we need that. We need to bounce stuff off each other, because not to dim the light. Make it shine. God has made us all these wonderful, brilliant lights, and to be at our highest capacity, taking care of yourself. I know it is Christmas time, and I know there's goodies involved, and all kinds of treats and snacks, and that kind of thing. And I like this thing. Everything is good in moderation, and I want to say, well, even moderation.
One of the things also is I would like to share with my experience, and especially with the work that I do, domestic violence really peaks at this time of year. And so your local women's shelters and all of those places are safe havens. You're not alone, and just to know that, there's places to resort to. The alcohol consumption is at a high. Actually, with one of my clients is a distributor for NorCal Beverage. And I asked when I met him, I said, are you just exhausted with how busy you are because of the season? And he said, actually, no, stay in steady pace, which actually shows that alcohol consumption doesn't just peak any longer at the holidays. There's a steady pace with it now. So he was busier, but not that much busier. And so that's really, says a lot. And so just knowing that people who are light workers out there, one of the things is it's checking out and tuning out, and we're being asked to go inward. And one of the things there, a lot of people are starting to hit harder bottoms than there used to be. And so with sobriety and the holidays, just, be comfortable underneath your own skin. Put limits on things, time frames around where you're going to see your loved ones, your families, and just, be around the joyful times and everything. And it's not like a wet blanket or anything. It's just make sure that your serenity and sanity, sanity and serenity are your priorities in this whole thing. And I see that there's some questions here, and we're getting Andrea would love a sobriety reading from the angels. So Andrea Bell. Okay, so a sobriety reading. So I'm using the Angel Therapy card deck by Doreen Virtue. Absolutely love it. There's not any card deck from her at all that I don't absolutely love. I love all of them. So if you watch my weekly readings, that's always, I love all of the card decks. So I could say that again. So let me tune in with Andrea. Wow. Okay. So really strongly it's coming through. It's the workshops and seminars, attendings and giving speeches is part of your spiritual path and purpose. Be open to teaching and learning. So what I'm seeing, Andrea, is what your angels are showing me. Thank you for being here. And I see you doing the same thing. And it's really sticking out with wellness, and the body's the tuning fork, and you will be working with people once you are in knowing that's the direction that you want to go, which it is part of your life path, you will be working with people for wellness. And I'm seeing also it's something where you're going to be working with people where they won't, it's kind of like weaning them off of prescriptions. Not that you will be working with the ones that are completely dependent on it, but you will be assisting with weaning off of them so they'll be more accountable and feel more empowered for their own well-being. So, doctors and prescriptions are very necessary in today's society, in the modern world, and you're going to be working with people and sharing more healthier alternatives with I'm just seeing of nutritional value, and such as a life coach with teaching people this. So you've got a pretty high calling there, and 2017, walk through those doors. Your angels have your back covered, and the doors are open. The doors are opening. So Archangel Raphael is with you, right by your side, and will cover you every step of the way. Just see this beautiful emerald green light surrounding you in your whole aura. And your journey of you sharing your experience with it is going to highly benefit, because you know in every fiber of your being that it's the truth. So
that's what I was getting to. It's like sharing, all of us coming together and sharing our stories and sharing our experiences. Let's not to be silent anymore, and to help dissolve the stigma of the disease, and it's like, well, where are these people? It's like, let your story, help another by sharing your story, and it helps us in ourselves too, because it in the beginning I talked about when I got into recovery, and now for me to share that stuff, and most people that meet me now, they're like, wow, I would have never thought. And it's like, well, I kind of, I remember it, but I am disconnected to some extent to that. I don't forget, I don't forget where I came from, and by sharing our own stories, so.
Yes, and then we have Jelena here. She wants us to pull a card for all the soulmates and twin flames out there. So I just pulled a card, Doug. How would you like to pull one?
For Jelena.
Yes.
Hello, Jelena. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
And
thank you,
I'm
all our friends, for being here.
Using, I like to use today the Ascended Masters. This being the holy days, and the Ascended Masters and the Magi, and just all that came for this event. And I'm picking up Hilarion, and it's health and healing. So what I'm getting is, and for as far as the soulmate things, it's like going to the health fairs and those kind of things, and doing health and healing, and doing here's the thing, doing your life purpose. You will come across the people and your soulmates. Soulmate doesn't have to be, I see you put twin flame too. So, but putting yourself in those environments that you'll meet these people. And I'm actually picking up springtime, so if that helps. So, do you have any other thing to put in, input?
On that, absolutely. As soon as you start carrying on with your life purpose, it's like, well, that's where it will happen. Yoga studios, health and wellness, and just get about the business of being on your life purpose. Yeah. And that is where in alignment you will be meeting your soulmate or twin flame. And so you cannot meet them behind closed doors. You got to get out there and get that moving energy, and also make sure that through processes that there's no exes lingering around. Just that door has to be closed for Mr. or Mrs. Wonderful to come through the door. It's absolutely, the grief work, any kind of cords or anything just really need to be dissolved and transmuted and healed for that person to come through.
Yeah,
So,
like we said earlier too, it's like when we met, we weren't actually looking for a relationship. Neither one of us were.
no.
And we were with groups of friends. Actually, there's a funny story. Always stories, right? Funny story. So we were with the group of sober people, and we'd go out and do things together and whatnot. And one of the gals, we would go to the movies in these groups, and call everybody and say, hey, we're going to meet at the movie theater, 7:30. We'll out in the parking lot. So our friend calls everybody, but she told Brigitte and I we're going to meet at 7. And then she told everybody else 7:30. So Brigitte and I had to be there. We're sitting there, where is everybody, And so we actually, it worked. It worked. So you never know, you've got friends, so.
Yes.
Yeah, but we were doing the work together, or not together, we were doing our own inner work, being that person.
And we have Becky here. Becky tells Reed, thank you for being here. And she would like an angel reading. So I'll pull a card for you, Becky. Oh, and there's twin flame. Interesting. The answer to your question involves a spiritual-based romantic relationship. So what I'm getting for you is in it. You're in it. You're in it. You're right in the pocket. You're right in the zone. And just keep on knowing that you've cleared a lot. You've cleared a whole lot. And there's something about you've let go of a lot of stuff from the past, which is great. And so you're being called to ask to join with and embark on this going out and doing some more things with more connection with community. I'm seeing you lead up a meetup group with your twin flame and actually go about the business of start sharing this with other people. And that is where you will be meeting and building this community. And you're very much needed in what you're doing. So carve out the time right now in this as 2016 wraps up. And ask yourself what that would look like. I'm seeing painting. I'm seeing just kind of even some get-togethers where that creativity expands and explores. It's kind of tinkering with things is what they're showing. So it's not going to be anything really something that's going to stop you from going about and doing that business. But there's something in collaboration where those two things are connected. It may not seem like those pieces line up, but yet it is something where you're being asked to pull some community together, and it has painting, crafts, and a meetup group where people are actually bringing what they have in their storage closets and collectively bringing it all together for people too. And you're going to be the leader of it. So it's actually really beautiful. Really beautiful. So bloom where you're planted, they're saying. You've got everything you need and everything that it takes to do this. So, and want to wish you the best 2017.
It's exciting.
It is. It is.
Really
Do you have
exciting.
any more tips?
Just really to be gentle with yourself, and expectations, those are expectations of others, expectations of yourself. Meditation is always, I think, always the answer.
Yes.
To take that quiet time for yourself, to self-care first. If you're going into a group or something that maybe, that requires a little more work or attention or behaving, whatever it is, take that quiet time, take that peaceful time for yourself first. I know the more it's like, getting so busy that I don't have time to meditate. Well, the more I meditate, the easier things transpire, the easier things, shed off the back. Having that connection with that power that's greater than myself. Not being dependent upon other people to make me happy. It's, just like we talked about in the beginning. It was when we met, we weren't looking for, I wasn't looking for her to make me happy. I was working on that relationship with my Creator, and have that joy. Because anything, like you put that kind of a burden or a weight onto another person, it's too much. We're not built for that. You know, it can be too heavy, and we're around a lot of family and friends, and you know, sometimes that can weigh on you. But again, here, like I said, you know, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself first.
Yes.
You know, if you're in a group or something that you're not too sure about, you know, maybe, you know, have an exit plan, have an idea, you know, plan or whatnot to take care of yourself.
Very good. That brings to mind that, you know, one of the things is limits on the hours. You know, if you do go somewhere that's a little slippery for you, where you know you feel like it's going to affect you, put a cap on it. 2 hours, 2 to 4, and then at 4 o'clock you go somewhere else. Also, go in the restroom and go in there and say a prayer. You know, go in there and breathe, count to 10.
I've prayed in many bathrooms.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, yeah.
Yes, and the Serenity Prayer. You know, those kind of things as tools. Actually, even before you enter a house, my mentor even said, place your hand on the door and say, God, go before me. And ask for the house to be filled up with angels before entering it, and even practice that. Ask your angels to have a conference with their angels if there's any discord or disharmony with a family member where there's something that hasn't been addressed yet, and knowing, and you're going to be walking into this, you know, and happy to see the family, of course, but if there's something that's unresolved, Christmas is not a way out to, or time to do it. You know, you might want to, especially if things get a little escalated, you know, with anything, with drinking or anything. So just keep that stuff on the back burner and just, you know, be present, be aware, and know that it's only temporary and you're moving through this. Also, if you are alone during the holidays, that is a place that pure loneliness is just, you know, it appears that everyone else is having a jolly good old time, and that's not always the painted picture that is reality. It can be a very difficult time of year. So go to the park, you know, do something like going and feeding ducks, feed the birds, you know, do something that you haven't done all year. Maybe take the time and make your vision board. You know, cut the words out. Watch some funny movies. Oh my goodness. You know, just go take yourself out to the movies. Actually, we were really surprised a few years ago when we went to the movies and how packed it was. We're like, oh my goodness. You know, our whole family got together on Christmas Eve. So we're like, now what do we do? Because we had an empty nest, and we're like, this is different. You know, even life changes. It's not just about sobriety. Any shifting with life changes, emptiness, the loss of a loved one, grieving, all of those things throw us off track and are a barometer of where we don't feel centered. And just do something good for yourself. Make your favorite dish. Make something, you know. Go out for a walk, bundle up, be outdoors, look for where God shows up. Look for miracles. And that's what Christmas is all about. It's that inner light, that inner glow, and it's going inward and really starting to wrap it up and go inward into let go of year 2016 with open arms coming into 2017, that recharging your batteries. You know, right now the bears are hibernating.
Yeah, the intelligent mammals are hibernating. Well, in the northern hemisphere, right?
So anyway, I think that's a wrap up for today.
I also want to just throw in something really quick too. For our brothers and sisters who are out there and aren't, you know, are out there.
What do you say out there? You mean running, doing?
Yeah,
running?
Out there
okay.
on the streets, and you know, pray. Just, you know.
Yes.
I got to recovery from prayers.
Yes.
You know, I fully believe that, and so the more we can pray for one another and to, you know, hold each other in that space and love light and recovery and just peace and joy. That's what this, the season's for. Now we're moving into the light, coming out of that darkness and coming into the light. Just prayer is so important. Prayer is so important, to pray for one another and pray for the people who are, who are out there, in this cold weather, that I was one of them. It's like we were talking a little bit earlier, when you're in that position and you're, the streets are quiet, you feel it, you feel the loneliness, the separation.
It's on stereo. It's loud.
Yeah,
it's so loud. It's silent, but it's so loud it penetrates.
Yeah, absolutely. And
to the soul.
The shelters, and be of service. Be of service. Like I said, even going to like I said, a lot of the 12-step groups have alkathons. Going to the alkathons and supporting the people who are coming in the door. Being there for them to welcome them. Being like me when getting there, it was like dirt. It was dirty. I felt dirty. And it's like for somebody to actually say welcome, it was a big deal, because it was a big deal. So, just to remember that and keep those brothers and sisters in our thoughts and minds and prayers. And, it's like we drive around and see them, out on the streets. And as someone who is out there a little bit, I don't give money to people that are panhandling. For me, once people stopped helping me, I had to get real. It got real, and I had to get serious about my recovery. So that's just my stuff. That's just my thought. There's a lot of help available out there. I know, to stay warm and to get meals, and the churches are doing wonderful things too. But just prayer. I think prayer is one of the biggest things. It's like, like people in the hospitals right now, and that kind of thing. It's like, well, what do I do? It's like pray, pray. So
that is really powerful. In fact, when I was hitting my bottom, it came through. Of course, I was in denial, so it was health issues. So I asked one of my friends that worked a couple doors down at a cowboy western shop. I said, Dan, can you put me on your prayer list? Yeah. And he's all, what's going on, Brigitte? And I'm like, my lungs and, all this stuff from working with the chemicals in a hair salon. Not saying that, I hadn't had very much sleep and was partying and doing all of that, but of course that wasn't even in the picture. And he put me on that prayer list, and that's when I had hit my bottom.
Prayer is important.
Prayer is very important. So enabling, that brings up another thing,
absolutely.
Enabling. Guilt and shame to get that loved one to your house to straighten up for the year and paying for a haircut for them so they could clean up for the family and not look, like they're ripping and running. Ripping and running means just tore up from the floor up. Just, so they could clean up for the family, because when there's this going on, a lot of people go and enable and try to make this person behave. It's just like, make sure that in this, that you're not enabling, because there's nothing that you're going to do that's going to change the behavior of an alcoholic or an addict. And so your love could actually, there's a saying, your love puts nails in a coffin by enabling. And so enabling is something it's
not easy. But like I said, if my family both my parents passed in December and November, and once my family said, we're not helping you anymore, it was like, oh.
Yeah, yes.
I had to ask for help. What happened. I had to ask for help.
It is true. It is true.
I just pulled a couple cards because they're getting.
But on that, I just, it's all good.
Shiny.
On that, for all of you mothers out there, I just want to tell you, do not pay to get their hair cut if they're on the streets ripping and running, and do not buy them a brand new pair of shoes. Those are always the two things. It's not helping them. Your prayer will help them.
Yes.
And of asking, calling 800 numbers for silent unity is a beautiful 1-800 silent unity is a beautiful prayer
30-day
vigil.
prayer vigil. Yeah.
Yes.
They pray for 30 days.
Yeah, they really do. You could find them on Facebook. You could find them on
Or other
their
churches,
website or other
or
churches.
Whatever.
30 days, 24/7, and it's absolutely beautiful. Or whatever churches of anything. You know what? When I'm in that place, I want all the prayers from everything. So Doug did pull a card. It's beautiful. So it's follow your heart, and it's that prayer of St. Francis. So just know in this holy season, that prayer of St. Francis, be everything, walk it, breathe it, and have it in your beingness. So
Instrument of thy peace.
Instrument of thy peace.
And so it's like me, we're talking about recovery, one's not enough. So I had to pull another card.
Oh,
And the next
you
card,
did.
the next card actually was Jesus.
See.
And it says, open your heart to love. And here again, touching back on that recovery thing. Like I mentioned, my mother passed away when I was younger in November, or in December, excuse me. And that's when I closed my heart, and that's when I went into my deepest addiction, and that is what I was afraid of. I was afraid of getting hurt, and I didn't know that. I was just trying to not hurt, and that's sort of the extents of the drugs and the alcohol and all that stuff. I didn't know, So again, Brigitte's got the page, How to Get Your Life Back, where she and Dorian have written this book, and it's coming out in 2018.
Yes.
And go over there. There's a lot of support and a lot of love, and lots of posts. We also have kind of a sister page or brother page.
Yes, it is.
And it's Sober Light Workers. And it's being sober and bringing and shining that light, because now more than ever we need you to sign up and
we need each other.
Yeah.
We need each other. And so
we need groups and
yes.
Do this community. Yeah.
Yes. Go to your yoga.
We may have to do another one with the Ayurveda and yoga, because there's.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do another one.
Yeah, would you guys like that? Let us know what you
know.
want to see on here. So we're going to do this weekly. This
Going
was
over the doshas and the
this was a trial run.
And
so
the recovery side of things.
On the recovery side of it, so we were just winging it. So we just most of all wanted to connect with you and wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holy Days, Happy New
Holidays.
Year's, Happy everything, and Happy 2017.
And your presence is the present.
It is your beingness, your beingness.
Being present. And whether that's, feeling those sorrows and feeling those joys. So.
Yes, so that's it. So we'd like to close with.
I had fun.
Oh, good. See, he's having fun, so we'll be back. We will be back. And so I would like to close with my favorite way to close for now. And it is, the light in me honors the light in you. And it is with Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Thank you for allowing us to be of service.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye. How do we shut this off?
I don't know. Here's a blooper.
And I left my glasses.